What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button on YouTube and join us. Make sure you hit the bell to get notified whenever a new daily video comes out. Thanks to everybody who hit that like button yesterday. Made a huge difference. I think we're back on track. Ready to rock. Feels good to be back. I will say, as being a native or living in San Francisco for a while now, if you are in the Northern California area, like Sonoma, just want to give you a shout out, let you know that we're all thinking about you. It's crazy. I mean, I'm looking out my window and it's complete smoke covering the entire bay. So there's just massive forest fires, or not even forest fires, just huge fires over in wine country. And I actually had to come into the office this morning because I couldn't sleep last night because there was so much smoke. I mean, I obviously have nothing to complain about, but just crazy. So if you're living up there, thinking about you and trying to do everything we can to help you guys out. But wild stuff. Also wild stuff is what's going on with these markets last few days. Had a lot of great fear-related messages as usual, emails, direct messages, Facebook, everything. It's always a good treat to see the FUD flying high. Lets me know I'm back in business. And let's just take a quick look at what's going on here. So I'm looking at right now the Bitcoin. We're looking at the 4 hour. Let's zoom into the 1 hour just to get a little bit of a better idea. And we obviously saw a huge spike here, and then with a bit of resistance to this level. So the question now is this a flag, which it doesn't look like, right? Because I'm obviously an expert in technical analysis, as everyone likes to point out. Just a joke, just kidding. But it's either a flag or it's going to drop down to the bear. And like you guys know, I do not like to predict the future. I really don't try to predict the future because that's a fool's errand, especially in the markets. And then you can zoom out and you can start to see the ongoing trends, the current trends, I should say. And then obviously you can zoom out and see the bigger trends as they play out. So I think that's the first thing is in situations like this, anytime you want to change your perspective on what's going on, all you got to do is zoom out. That's it, right? Go up to, it doesn't matter what trading platform you're using, but just zoom out and you'll see a much different story than when you zoom way in. I see some people that are doing like looking at the 5 minute charts and making decisions on that. I'm like, if you were trading options or if you're moving $1 million in your trading account, maybe you could be doing the 5 minute, but that's only when you really want to see like an exact volume spike, right? When you want to see specific trades that are happening, you can go 1 minute, but do not make decisions, especially if you're not like a hardcore trader. So that's the first thing you always want to do. And when it comes to questions like this, like we talked about yesterday, the answer is not, is this going to go up or down? It doesn't matter if it goes up or down. What matters is what can you do if it goes up or down? And if you don't think about that now, what's going to happen is it's going to go up or down, or it's going to keep doing this for a little while. And you're just going to keep freaking out. And then you're going to make some sort of reactionary decision that inevitably loses you money. It always does. That's why so many people lose money in trading, because they don't make a simple plan. So I think that's the big thing I'm seeing with this. Overall, the consensus from a lot of traders is that this is going to go up. That's what most people are saying. I tend to agree with them, but again, I'm not making any moves on that necessarily. I'm sticking to my plan, which is, slowly buy into Bitcoin, which is what I always do for my long-term stuff. Just continuously buy. And then, like I talked about, was it 2 weeks ago, if there is an opportunity, it's not necessarily in Bitcoin right now, but over in the altcoin markets, kind of like there was yesterday, I'll make a move. So yesterday I bought a couple altcoins that dropped considerably that I've been looking at for a long time now. Didn't have anything to do with Bitcoin, but the charts look good. Talked to a bunch of people that are way smarter than me, asked them, and they gave me their input, and I made a decision from that. So that's what it always comes down to. Dollar cost average, buy the dips. Only two things that matter, right? That is it. That is what will make you the most amount of money, period. Now you can try your best to go and become the 10% of people that can exceed those returns. And I would highly encourage anybody to give that a shot. No question about it. But man, I'm telling you, in dollar cost average yourself in and buy the dips. It's just the best way to do it. So for everyone out there who's wondering what to do next, if this goes up, what do you do? Well, if this goes up, altcoins are probably going to go down again. So what you do is you go and you find the 5 altcoins that you're going to be watching. So that's what you do in that situation. If it goes down, altcoins are probably going to go down. So go and see which ones, altcoins are probably going to go up. So you go and you see which altcoins you're going to sell and set your sell levels. At what price will you sell them at, right? How much are you going to sell off? Are you going to keep the coins? You're going to keep Bitcoin. If it stays the same, maybe you buy more Bitcoin. Maybe you buy more altcoins. Maybe you don't do anything. I don't know. But those are the 3 options, right? Whenever something happens, there's always a reaction in the market somewhere, and that's what you care about. You react to what it does. Now let's switch over. I can tell you that I won't tell you all the coins I bought, but it's the same ones I've been talking about for a long time, right? Like bought some Neo, bought some Zcoin, bought some Monero. What else did I it's just it's the same ones I've always bought. It's the ones that I really believe in, that I've done all the research on. Metal looked good. I didn't buy any metal because I wanted it to go down a little lower, but I probably missed that one. I had a bid in around 110. You can see it didn't quite get there. But so it goes. But that was a good one. But OMGs look good. I didn't buy any OMG, but I like OMG. I think that it's pretty smoking price for what it is. But that's it, guys. I'm not doing this is what a lot of people do. They hit the percentage change button and they just go down the list, and then this is their list for the day. Top 10 biggest losers for the day. And I can tell you that they're biggest losers for a reason, because they're the biggest losers on many levels. I'm not saying anything individually. I mean, there may be some random unique event, but typically the biggest losers are the biggest losers for good reason. So that's why I always look at volume, because it tends to be most popular, or it is the most popular, I should say. And in this market, that's the name of the game, is popularity. So that's what I'm looking at. And the rest of it just comes down to what happens over here and seeing what happens over here, right? I bought the trades. If they hit the scalp levels, I'll make that decision as it gets closer, it really just depends on what happens with Bitcoin. And because it depends on what the rest of the portfolio looks like, But that's it. This is not rocket science, or at least I try not to make it rocket science, because once you make it really complicated and make it a big deal, that's when it gets really stressful. And when you're stressed out, you don't make good decisions. So that's what I always ask myself is, what's the plan? What does this look like if this was really easy? I think that's a great question. I think I mentioned that a while ago in one of Tim Ferriss's podcasts. He always asks himself, what would this look like if it were easy? And when I look at trading, investing, whatever you want to call it, I say, well, if I only cared about 5 or 6 coins, this would be a lot easier. And if I had very clear parameters that I set up for myself, this would be a lot easier. And guess what? It is. And I'm probably going to make just as much money as if I studied this for 15 hours. It just doesn't really work itself out. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that I would encourage everybody today to really make a decision on is, are you an investor or are you a trader? Because it's getting to the point now where a lot of you, I think, are probably going to start to get burnt out by this, by the ups and downs, by the unknowns and the stress. And trading is no joke. And that's why, for the most part, I'm just a long-term investor. I believe in fundamental research. I believe in macro, mostly because that's just what I'm good at. I'm not good at technical stuff. I only do it to look back and see historical patterns. I'll never try to forecast on technical for a variety of reasons. But I would consider myself an investor. The same way, if you bought a house, you wouldn't be checking your house price every week and being like, oh, maybe we should sell this house, whatever. You're thinking like 10 years at a time. Or if you bought an index fund, you're not checking it every week. At least I hope you're not, because you know it's a long-term investment. That's how you should be thinking about if you're an investor. And if you're a trader, it's a different story, but you realize that there's a huge learning curve before you can become that top 10% to win, which is what you need to be. And it's not as easy as just finding other people and just copying their trades. It doesn't work like that, because the best traders will not. The top 10% don't share their trades very much. That's what you're going to find very quickly in any sort of financial market, because it's a competitive space. Like, they have to win, and not everyone can win. That's why they don't do it. What I've done, because it's almost impossible to go black or white, I found, is that you split your revenue, or I'm sorry, your bucket of money, however much money you put into this market. And I put 70% in the long term, 30% in the trading. That's been a terrific split for me. So just make a decision. Just decide. Write it down. This is what I'm doing. I'm looking at the market this way. Here's the allocation I'm going to do. Here are the coins I'm going to be focusing on. And end of story. Like, just call it a day. Your life is going to get a lot less stressful, and you're going to make a lot more money. I would be very surprised if you didn't. Let's look at a few other things that I thought were really helpful. I thought were really interesting. The first one is called On-Chain FX, which you can see here is this is not an exchange. It's a rankings and metrics for investors. I don't know these people, but they tweeted about it, or Naval Ravikant retweeted it. I checked it out. It looked helpful and interesting, so I retweeted it. And this is the cool part. The year 2050 market cap and year 2050 market supply. Now, I know the year 2050 is 33 years away, and that may seem like the most insane amount of time imaginable, since every 24 hours is equivalent to about 6 months in this world. But this is really important. And what year 2050 market cap implied means is that if, for example, in Bitcoin, if all 21 million Bitcoins were in circulation, if they were all mined and they all had the same price that they do today, the market cap of Bitcoin wouldn't be 80 billion, it'd be 101 billion. Because right now we have, what do you call it? Like, we have 80% of that. So it's at 17 million Bitcoins are actually mined. So this is really helpful, because when you're buying a coin, we only look at current market cap. Most people go to coinmarketcap.com. They look at the current market cap, and then they might glance at current supply and total supply, but they don't actually do the math on what that ends up looking like, right? If everything was mined now, what would that look like? And that's going to change the economics and the valuations of a lot of these companies. It'll also change your potential viewpoint on this, because it may make you realize the percentage ownership that you're going to have, or the potential growth that still remains, or something like that, right? So, for example, Bitcoin does not have as many coins left to be mined as Ethereum does. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that might change the way that you view the current valuation compared to what the valuation will be in the future, right? In the 30, 40-year future. So you can go through all these coins, any coins you have, and you can start to see how much of the supply is still out there, right? How much of the business has already been fully mined out and how much of the business has not been fully mined out. Now, the key here is that there's no right or wrong. There's no one is better than the other. It just gives you a better idea on what you think the value would be, right? There's a 2017 is a truer or lesser value than what the quote unquote true value, full value, complete value of the coin might be. So I would check this out. I think that if this isn't interesting to you, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're going to make bad investment decisions or anything. If this does interest you, I think that you understand why. If you're more of an economic mindset, this is more about how like venture capital would look at a deal, right? So like Zcash is 550 million now, but when everything's mined out, it's gonna be 4.9 billion. Is that a good or bad thing? It's up to you. So really worth checking out. Also just has a lot of really good metrics. It's laid out really well. It seems like a pretty cool platform. It's in beta. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this. I also like this. There's a sector watch down here in the lower left where you can check out the different types, almost categories that these cryptos are in. So this is going to be interesting, which leads me into another piece of news, which is there's been an emergence of these index funds. I shouldn't say emergence. I'm seeing this. A handful of people are starting to create index funds. And as you guys who have been watching this channel know, I don't know, maybe in August, like late July, August, I was really into the idea of creating an index fund or creating some sort of, asset management in crypto. And I still am. I think it's going to be from a business standpoint, I think it's going to be massive, right? I think just look at Wealthfront and Vanguard. I mean, they've done incredibly well in the regular capital markets doing automated wealth management. And there's no reason why that won't work in crypto either. So I think from a business standpoint, like a management standpoint, asset allocation, that's a great business to be in. So owning one of these index funds, that's a good business. I am not convinced that this is going to do much better than Bitcoin. I could be completely wrong, but I think that there is such a discrepancy in market size, in market volatility, and a variety of reasons. It's just such a diverse category that I think that the comparisons between this and the S&P 500 is really not even close. I think that a better comparison would be this compared to a venture capital fund where you took 100 startups and made a diversified fund out of that. But there's a reason why people haven't done that for the most part. It's because it's two of the unicorns pay for everything. And that's not really a fund. There's no tax harvesting in that. There's no rebalancing. It doesn't really work that way because the macro forces don't impact it. It's still micro on a startup level, which is where we're at. So I think that this is a very interesting development, but from a business standpoint, like as a marketer, as an investor in startups, that's interesting to me because I think a lot of people will be attracted to this, and I think they might return pretty good returns, but more importantly, they're going to provide security, right? They're going to be custodians for people where instead of you having to worry about your wallets and security, like hacking and all that, you can just give these guys $20,000 or $500,000, whatever your budget is, and not have to think about it. That's the real value. And everyone's like, oh, the returns, crypto, index fund. Yeah. No, the real value is that these guys are going to take care of your money. You're not going to have to worry about wallets and you're not going to worry about that. And that's the business, right? That's where the money is going to be in the next 5 years. Coinbase is already starting to show that's where they're going. I could see Coinbase really getting into that business if they're smart. Instead of building this Toshi app, I don't know why they're doing that, but that's another That's another discussion. But I will say, keep an eye on this. Not because these guys are going to necessarily get better returns than you could, but because this is going to be extremely attractive as a business model. And this can help, kind of like what I talked about yesterday, the two things we need, institutional money and millions of people buying a couple $100 worth of Bitcoin. This will accelerate that process. That's why I'm fascinated with this, and that's why you should be too. Right? So this is the kind of thing, you know, your friend or your family member who is like, Bitcoin, that seems so sketchy. This is the kind of thing you'll be able to send them. Be like, listen, you're not going to buy Bitcoin, but buy an index fund. Get a little bit of exposure. That's something that they'll be like, okay, now I'm interested. So keep an eye on that. I think that those kind of it's really important. This was also awesome. I mean, you know, it was awesome from my first reaction is, yes, these guys are really doing it right. But then it got me thinking. So this company, Edu, I don't know who these guys are. I'm assuming they're doing some sort of ICO, the EIDOO project. They took out a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal. Looks like it costs about $350,000. They've raised $23 million in their ICO. So yeah, okay, it's a recent ICO. So I think this is interesting for a few reasons. One, it's obviously a new way we haven't seen of people trying to enter the mainstream media. So this is cool, but seeing how people react to it, that's the real story, because that's going to determine what other people do this, right? Does this fuel the good flames, or does it spark interest, or does it piss people off? Those are the two sides of the coin, and it's probably going to be a little bit of both. But that's the first thing I think is so interesting. Second is if it does actually help these guys raise money, right? As an advertising platform, if this works and Edu, it does spark the interest and they do raise a lot of money or whatever their goal is in this, they get a lot of downloads and people using it, that opens up a whole new level for some of these cryptocurrencies. So for example, one thing I do is I go through CoinMarketCap and I'll go to any coin between 101 and 600 in terms of market cap size. And I'll email them and ask them, hey, assuming I got to make sure the company is legit. I'm not going to do this for garbage, and I'll say, hey, would you like some help on your marketing, right? And I'll make them a video and help them out, whatever I can. Not really an advisory role, just, hey, you should think about doing this. These are some ideas. And I usually do it for free just because I think it's always good to build really good relationships with people. But sometimes they'll say, hey, thanks a lot. Here's a couple $100 or whatever for free coins. And thanks for helping us out. And can we keep hiring you? Who knows? But most of these cryptocurrencies, they have no idea what real marketing is. And when I say real marketing, I'm not saying that in a cavalier way or any way that's aggressive. What I'm saying is that they just don't know what the big picture is when it comes to marketing advertising. When I talk about things like funnels or running Facebook advertising or having a branding and creating a story around your crypto and your unique selling proposition and the stages of awareness of your customer, all the fundamentals of copywriting, of marketing, these guys, they're typically too busy building the products to think about this. They don't have any interest in it. And typically they've never needed to do this because the exchanges do all the advertising for them. If this works, if this full page ad works as a way to drive downloads of this app, of getting people to use this currency, you're going to see a lot of marketing dollars coming into these companies and helping them blow it up. That is going to fuel the fire, the good fire. That's going to get more people interested in this, and that's a great thing. So watch Watch how this does. Not for, I don't care about Edu. I mean, I'm sure maybe it's a good app. I don't know. But if this works, the floodgates are going to open, because a lot of other coins are going to say, oh man, we should do that too. And then this is going to become part of the best practices of building a cryptocurrency. It's going to start looking like actually building a company, which is what most people have not done yet. They've built products. They have not built companies yet. And this is going to be interesting. Now, on the other side, which is what most people care about, which is the reason why everyone's retweeting it on Twitter, is because they can't wait to see this guy's reaction. They think that this is a shot in the face, which it kind of is. Like, maybe Jamie will fire you. I mean, it's obviously blatantly to him. And so the emotional people in crypto look at this, they're like, oh yeah, stick to the banks, screw them, like nothing can touch Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And that's just dumb, in my opinion. Like, these guys are really powerful. Yeah, Bitcoin's great and everything, and like I think it's going to do really well. It's obviously very resilient. Do not underestimate the power of the people in charge in any situation. Like, that is a very, very bad strategy. You know what they say? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. And I'm not saying you got to respect or like the hand that feeds you, or that you don't want it to go away. But it's really dangerous when you start pissing people off that have the potential to impact your business. If you don't think they can impact it, the guy said one thing, drop the market cap, combined with 2 other events, 40%. Imagine if he starts lobbying the SEC and the IRS to go hard on people. What's that going to do, right? So I'm not saying they shouldn't do this. I'm just saying that it's... I think that there's better ways to get what we want, which is a free, decentralized banking system. We want to be in charge. We want to remove ourselves from a power-driven system. And the reason I bring this up is because as you see news, as you see things like this, you have to look at it in different ways so that you don't get caught up in the knee-jerk reaction, which is what happens to most people. You look at this and say, what does this mean for the bigger picture? How can this help me profit? And the way this can help you profit, if this works, there's going to be a massive demand for companies that need this kind of stuff. And the companies that do this are going to exceed the companies that don't do this. It's just like every other business. The companies that nail the marketing win, especially in startups. It's not just a product-driven world anymore. I wish it was sometimes, but it's not. Marketing is a huge component of success and something that's relatively unseen in crypto. Last thing, which is what I got a majority of my messages about yesterday, which is funny. You guys may have seen this, the Crypto Syndicate. I don't know who these guys are. Maybe they're watching, maybe they're listening. Interesting conspiracy theory, but I saw this was going around. A lot of people messaged me about this. So these guys, took on the Watergate style reporting attitude and uncovered the Bittrex conspiracy theory. Now, it's since been heavily edited, as I would imagine a lawyer advised them, or somebody advised them, that slander and libel are very serious offenses in the capital markets, in finance. And if you accuse somebody of something, you are that's not a good thing to do in any situation, but definitely not in finance. So that aside, it looks like they've kind of made this more of a, hey, we're just trying to uncover the truth here. We're not accusing anybody of anything. I personally have no idea if this is true or not. And it's hard to speculate. I mean, you can't, it's fun. You could definitely kill 45 minutes of your day by trying to speculate, but who cares, right? So let's say, just play out the scenarios. Let's say Bittrex did do something that was a widespread move to sink prices. Okay, what does that mean for you? Like, does that mean do you stop trading on Bittrex? Do you go to Binance? Do you go to Poloniex? Do you file a complaint? Like, what do you do about it? Okay, so that's if they did it. I'm not saying they did it. In fact, I don't think they would do anything because they released a statement. They don't make money on this kind of thing. They make money on the fees. Second thing is, guys, Bittrex, first of all, it's a US company. So they are already being heavily watched by the SEC, like everybody in the government is watching these guys because they are processing an unbelievable amount of money. The amount of money these guys are making is got to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And, for good reason. I mean, they were the first. They had the best tech. They crushed it in the first market. To the winner go the spoils. When you look at if Bittrex had anything to do with this, think about what they're giving up. So let's say they're making $50 million a month, probably more than that, but let's say $50 million a month. Why would they risk that? They would risk the revenue, they would risk their reputation, and then they would risk the regulatory problems that would come with if they found out that they were manipulating markets. I mean, they'd go to jail. They'd have to give up all their money. They'd go to jail. It'd be you cannot do that. I don't care where. This is not okay, or it's not legal, I should say. I mean, that's what the rules are. Why would they give up that to be able to move the prices in this way, like to short altcoins and boost the Bitcoin price? It doesn't make any sense. Now, even if they colluded with one of these South Korean exchanges and brought in some new funds, it still doesn't get over the fact that they're going to lose a potentially multi-billion-dollar company for a one-time market manipulation deal. I mean, that's insane. I mean, and I personally, I have done a lot of research on Bittrex. I've done a lot of research on the guys who work at Bittrex, who founded Bittrex. They are not in the business. They do not. This is their number one business. This is their crypto move. While they believe in the crypto business, Bittrex is their thing. And so for me, if this happened on Bittrex, it definitely had nothing to do with them. They would not be that. That's just crazy. Now, the other option is that somebody came into Bittrex and did this, maliciously, right? They had an API, they coordinated the buy up, they coordinated the sell, and then they moved the money over to Bitcoin very, very quickly. And, you can do the math on that. But at the end of the day, what does that mean for you? Why do you care? What are you going to do about it? Well, probably not that much. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. It doesn't matter if there's nothing you can learn from it. If it's just like, hey, that's what happened, so it goes. I mean, that's part of the game, unless you can learn something from that. Now, maybe I should be diversified across more exchanges. That's probably a good idea. Maybe you should be diversified across coins that trade on multiple exchanges. Probably a good idea. So you're not beholden to one exchange's issues. But unless you get something like information or a new course of action from this kind of news, it's a waste of your time. Just close the tab. It doesn't matter. You're getting sucked in to the fake news cycle that sucks people in. That's why this kind of news gets put out every day, is to get clicks, to get eyeballs, to get you talking about it on social networks. It is not to help you make money. I can promise you that. So I don't know. I don't know who these guys are. I don't really care. Whatever. You do what you got to do as a marketer. I probably wouldn't do this, but hey, life is a game of scoreboards, not asterisks. And that's what you got to do to get traffic. That's what you do. But I'm telling you guys, this is not the last time you're going to see conspiracy theories pop up. When people are scared, when people are uncertain, they will consume anything that provides certainty to an uncertain time. And you, especially as if you're on the fence of am I a trader or am I an investor, you gotta be objective about it. You can't just get sucked into it, because otherwise the worst thing you can do is start making decisions based on news that's not even verified. Like you don't even know if this is true or not. And that has very, very serious implications on yourself, on your bank account, on your future, on the longevity of your investments. So I'm a big believer. I think it was Ronald Reagan or JFK maybe. I think it was Ronald Reagan. He said, trust, but verify. I'm a big believer in that. I tend to trust people for the most part, but I always verify before I make any decisions about them or with them. That's what you always got to be thinking about anytime you consume anything. Same with me, right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm like above all this. This, as I always say, this video, this podcast, this is one data point. You can agree with me, disagree with me, take what I say as my opinion, right? For what it's worth, not financial advice or anything like that. And then put it through your lens, right? Make your decisions. I always encourage that. And I think that's really the only way you're going to come out on top over the long term. That's what it's all about, guys. Just making this happen, waking up in 2050 and having a little slice of that 101 billion in Bitcoin. Boom. Waiting for that. Be all set. All right, guys, it's been real. As always, I'm good to be back. Glad to be back. The one thing I should say on Twitter, I did that poll about where you guys would like to see content. And it looks like there's really not a whole lot of places. I mean, there was some chat room talk, people saying they like Telegram and Slack, not Instagram, not Snapchat. Blog posts actually got about half the votes, which I think makes sense. But that was good to know. I mean, if Twitter and YouTube are really where it's at, I'll just keep it there. The reason why is I'm just curious where people hang out in the crypto world. I think one place that people didn't write is Reddit and Quora. I think those are two places that people go that they don't think about as marketing platforms, but they are. Even Bitcoin talk. But yeah, good stuff. We'll leave it at that. Great talking to you again, guys. Make sure that you go sign up for the newsletter, coinmastery.com/invest. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.